Welcome back to Empower Your Soul. Today, as Spirit has guided me to do, I'm going to talk about putting the me in mediumship. And this is going to be such an interesting podcast episode, and I hope a very empowering podcast episode for anyone that is a practicing medium. And then for anyone that is not a practicing medium, I think this is really educational because it gives you a perspective on why, again, every medium is different and why every medium brings gifts to this work and why you will go to so many different mediums and you might get very different experiences, different evidence, different types of information. Now, I think most mediums will have like the same core, if they're evidential, like the same kind of core components, personality, that kind of thing. But this is all about what makes mediums unique in their work and how I want you to celebrate that both as the medium and as the sitter. So let's get into it because I've talked about the history of mediumship, right? I've talked about the history of spirituality, but I want to say, again, most people who learn evidential mediumship start from this checklist. And I know I've talked about it. I'm not going to beat the dead horse over here, but everyone typically starts from the checklist. And there's so many different teachers, so many different organizations like the Spiritualist Church that has very, very strict guidelines around what mediumship should be and what it should not be. And I find that extremely interesting because we historically, like in most structured jobs, in most jobs that you have, there tends to be a set of rules, a set of guidelines, a procedure, the right way and the wrong way. And we are paid literally to perform the job the way that it is expected of us. We don't generally get a say for how we do the work, what the outcome's going to look like, right? Normally they tell us what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, where we're going to do it, when we're going to do it. And if we don't follow the guidelines of, I'm going to say, our employers, then we fail, and that's reflected in our payment, our pay, right? And this is obviously direct correlation to where I came from because my job was to standardize processes. My job was to find ways for people to cut out steps to make it easier, to make it cheaper for the organization, right? To take the person out of the process. Realistically, I don't want personality. I don't want anything unique in the processes at all. I want you to perform it efficiently. I want the company to be profitable. I want the shareholders to be happy. That's essentially what we do in organizations. So when we walk into mediumship, why would we think it's different? Right? Most people are like, okay, well, I've been taught. God, I remember working at Starbucks and we used to, story time, loved that job. Some of my best friends in the world came from that job. I still talk to them even though they live nowhere near me. We had very, very strict, when you're talking about measuring an outcome, the temperature of the drink had to be essentially within a very specific temperature. I can't remember what degree it was, within 1 or 2 degrees. The weight of the drinks was measured. I'm not even kidding. So we would have secret shoppers that would come to our stores when I worked there many moons ago. And if there was a secret shopper that came in from corporate, you wouldn't know. They'd come and order a cappuccino. You'd make the cappuccino. And if you didn't hit all of these things, if you didn't say hello, if you didn't write their name on the cup, if you didn't write the drink on the cup correctly, if it didn't weigh the right amount, if it was the wrong temperature, they would literally order this and mark all this down and take it to their car and weigh it and put the temperature in it and stuff, right? Not even fucking joking. It was ridiculous. And they came once a quarter. So you sometimes you could tell who they were. I digress. It was probably the intuitive hits in me. But literally I'm making a fucking cappuccino and then they're going to ding me on whether it's the right one degree off in temperature or a gram off, that's what I'm talking about. So that's where I come from. Right. So when I started mediumship, that's exactly how I treated it. How am I supposed to do it? What's the right way? What's the wrong way? Why is my power not great? I should be getting it this way. I should, you said it's going to work this way. It's not working this way. So we all come in expecting this golden rule, this finite structure, this clear process, A plus B equals C, right? That's what I'm talking about. But what's so interesting is how spirituality is changing. And I'm actually so glad that I didn't get into this work any sooner than I did, because I think I would have been a really good checklist medium, right? But instead, spirit continues to pull me outside of every box I try to put myself into and prove to me that everything's wrong. And I think this is my my loving gripe that I had with my old mentor, who I love and adore. But every time she told me something shouldn't happen, it happened to me. You should only be getting one spirit. Two came in every single time. You will never hear spirits' words in your head, or you'll never hear them in their own accent in your own head. Happens to me all the time. So spirit has this way for me to essentially continuously push me to be outside my expectations, to be outside my box, and to constantly realize there's so much more out there than we possibly could even experience or imagine. So I want you to think about this modern spirituality. I mean, it's really moving away from a lot of these rigid traditions towards unique ways to connect with spirit. And so for some examples, just in the mediumship space, okay, so obviously Tyler Henry, he's so cute. I love him. He's so fresh. He's like a little bunny. I want to protect him. So he doodles, right? He doodles his things, which I think is so cool. Did I just say that? Is that what she said? No, he doodles, right? While he's connecting with spirit. Teresa obviously has a really big personality or humor. Oh my gosh. Matt Fraser's like, when I went to his show, he's like snapping at people. He's like, pay attention, right? So his energy is just so different, right? Because he's constantly like in your face, move on. He goes like 1,000 miles per hour in his shows. John Edwards is just, I mean, he's no nonsense. He just says it the way it is. And then if you keep rewinding back in time, like think about Edgar Cayce, right? He did readings essentially in his sleep. He was under complete trance mode doing readings and pulling information from the Akashic records. So we have had, I'm going to say authentic, unique, individualized people in our space. So why don't we feel like there is a unique way that we can do it too? And it's so interesting because I'll have students in my beginner's mediumship class and be like, is it okay to keep my eyes closed? Is it okay if I scribble? I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, do what works for you. That's the whole point of this work, is you need to figure out what works for you and not follow some strict guideline about how everyone else is telling you to do it. Bad teaching. Like, it's just bad teaching. And that's... I got my own gripes about teaching, but that's what I mean. Like, you need to find your own way with all this stuff. So let's talk about finding your own way and what that looks like, because your unique personality, your unique background, your unique style, these are all strengths and gifts that you bring to this work. These are not your downfall. These are not your limitations. It is so hard in a world where we have been taught to conform and stay in line, to feel vulnerable enough to extend that into our mediumship and bring our personality and background and style into our work. But I have to say, the most powerful, the most amazing spiritual workers that I've seen come from being authentic, genuine. They know exactly who they are. They know exactly what they're good at. And I'm going to say they stay in their lane instead of trying to fit the stereotype of the masses. So I want you to think about your own unique strengths that you bring to this work. What is some, unique communication styles? I said it in the last one about, I swear, like, I make it loud and clear. I swear in every single reading I do, like, especially the demonstrations. I'm like, just so you know, I will swear. This is how I channel the dead, is I swear. So, like, what makes you unique in your work? Are you really good at puns? And there's going to be puns that come out all the time, right? Do you use metaphors and references that are unique to you and your experiences? Do you have certain like cultural backgrounds or personal beliefs that are going to come through your work? And like most of all, it's just letting your personality shine through in the work that you do. And I was just having a conversation with my fellow witch, my dear Rachel, about this, because it's so important that you realize that you are the perfect medium for people. You are the perfect spiritual person for certain spiritual clients. So I'm gonna be vulnerable and talk about myself. Ugh, sorry, that was me. The sound of me kind of vomiting for a moment there. So what's unique about me? I have a corporate background. I used to be in the Catholic faith, right? Recovering Catholic is my favorite term to use. I came from a smorgasbord of, I'm a mutt in terms of my family. So I am French, I'm Italian, I'm German, I'm Polish, I'm Irish, right? Like, so I was obsessed with genealogy, obsessed. I could name all of my ancestors that were within a couple generations, way before I did this work. So that's really cool. I have that process engineering background, right? I love punk music. I have family that has died of mainly cancer and heart disease. Mental health runs in my family. Narcissism runs in my family. Alcoholism runs in my family, right? All of these things, all of the, all the shit that we tuck away and we don't want to share, all the skeletons in our closets, these are all what help us do our readings. Because you know what? When I get a departed daughter that comes in talking about softball, I can say whatever she wants me to say about that because it's in my brain, right? When I work with business people talking about their business or channeling information to help them as entrepreneurs, this is my third business I've started, never mind working in the corporate world, right? So I can talk about ROIs. I can talk about process efficiencies. I can talk about implementing technology. I can talk about how to talk to clients, your sales tactics, your marketing. I know that stuff. So it's easier for me to channel that information than maybe somebody who hasn't done this stuff, right? Let's go back to the family. I cut out my family for a few years, right? I needed time for me to process my own mental health and come to my own conclusions, perspective, healing of my own family trauma. And I know I had to do that by myself to cut them out. So I find that I have a lot of people who come to me that have difficult relationships with their mom. Normal. I'm not afraid of those conversations. And then the thing I want to pause and say is that the clients that you receive are directly related to the trauma that you've overcome. I want to pause for effect there. The clients you receive are directly related to the trauma you've overcome. And if a client comes to you and triggers you, that is a key, that is a trauma you need to overcome so that you can help more people in that. Okay? Because I would not be able to help the clients that are having difficult relationships with their family if I didn't go through and experience that, and if I didn't come out and learn and come out on the other side and heal from that, and being able to hold them and have conversations with them on their trauma and what's important to them without it triggering me. And that's what makes me, I'm going to say it, a good healer in that space, is because I know I've lived it, I've walked it, I know the pain they're going through, I see them, but at the same time, I know that it's possible to overcome it. And when clients sit in front of me, I'm able to give them all of that energy at once, that I see you, I feel you, I understand your sadness, your frustration, your desperation. At the same time, I see how strong you are. I see that there's a clear path ahead. You can overcome this, and this is how, right? So instead of thinking about your skeletons, your traumas as this negative thing, because it can be, but we come from a society where things that aren't perfect are defects, and defects make us bad people. It's not right. It's not the right word, but you know where I'm going with it. They make us less than. They make us not able to be better, as good or better than anyone else, and then we're not valued. And I don't even know what I'm saying right now, but you know where I'm going with it. So the more you can accept your flaws as your strengths, your superhero strengths, that not only shows how strong and powerful and relentless you are in the pursuit of you being your best you, you take that same energy and you give that to your clients when they come to you with the same problem. And that's what makes you uniquely you. So both the things that you've overcome, as well as the things that you love, your passions, your talents, your exciting things, the things you've learned about, right? Like, so it's all of these things, and all of these things together make you this unique light worker that is here to help other people. So what I don't want you to do is compare your knowledge, your evidence, your delivery methods, your style to other practitioners, because what works for them might not be what works for you, and what they're struggling with might be something that you're really good at, right? I want you to continue to use tools, methodologies, any of these methods in the metaphysical space that feel good and feel right for you. And if they don't feel natural, or they don't, like, if it's not your jam, it's not your jam. Don't push it. Don't force it, because it's not going to go anywhere, because you need to go with your joy, with your passions, with your excitement. And if you're not excited about something, you shouldn't be going down that path anyway, because the vibration is not a match, which is totally fine. So I want to make sure that you don't dim your light by comparing yourself to others. And remember that when you are authentic in who you are and what experiences and what expertise you bring to this work, you actually build stronger connections with your clients and the spirits at the same time, because you become someone that they can trust, that someone that leads by example, and someone that is true to who they are, right? So you want the same for your clients, right? You want them to be truthful. You want them to be awesome. You want them to live their best life. You got to lead the way there. So I want you to make sure you're staying true to that while you're doing your work. Because I tell you what, do you know what clients say when they come to see me? Do you know, this is not a brag. Do you know what they say? I saw you and I felt connected to your energy, right? I feel like you're the real deal, right? And this is like, for me to hear that, by the way, like, I feel like I haven't even been myself most of my life. If you asked me memories, just dumb it's like I wasn't here half my life, and it's not like a trauma thing. It's just like I was living someone else's life. So it's like half of my brain checked out, and I don't have any memories, right? I think I do, but most of the time when they're like, do you remember that? I'm like, no, I have no idea that happened. I have no idea that happened, because I wasn't present. I was the version of somebody else at that time, and I was not there. It's like my soul, my brain checked out. Interesting, right? So again, when you are yourself, you are relaxed, you are feeling comfortable, and then the messages are going to flow better too. So I want to give that perspective as well. So please, please, please align to you, right? Align to what lights you up, what makes you excited, what brings you joy. Talk the way that you feel comfortable talking with clients. On this podcast, you hear me screw up, swear all the time. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I don't stop. I just hit record and I go, right? Is it weird? Yeah. Do I cringe when I hear myself back with my ums and my likes? Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. Every single time. But I just show up, I hit record, because that's what feels authentic to me, because I want you to know I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. And I'm not going to put out a podcast that is so clean and polished, and then you go to sit with me and I look like an idiot with blank spaces in my readings saying ums and likes, right? I want to be the full version of me that you see inside and out, and hear inside and out. So I'm going to encourage you to be the same with your work. How do you show up authentically for you and your clients? How do you record your posts on social media? Are you putting your name, your face, your voice, your personality out there? Are you hiding behind pictures with words on them, right? You're never going to find your people if you hide behind this vulnerable curtain that you refuse to let yourself out because you fear being judged. But what you're being judged for is exactly what makes you unique and perfect. And no, not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone should like you. But you know what? The right people are going to find you and like you. So you need to bring that into your work. You need to bring that into everything, that who you are, so that you can serve the right clients and help the right people. Be you. is all I'm asking you to do. I want you to be you and do it in a way that brings you peace and joy so that you can bring peace and joy to others. Okay. I think that's all for today because I'll just keep talking in circles. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to be authentic in your social media presence, in your marketing, in your readings? I'm going to encourage you to do 3 things this week if you are a medium or practicing or a practitioner. I don't know. 3 things this week about what is something new that you hold back that you need to bring in to your space with your clients. And I'm going to encourage you to do it. And when you do, let me know how it goes. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful day.